How many technologists does it take?
Okay. Yeah, go for it.
All right, sweet beans. Hey, everybody. I feel kind of funny introducing myself since I see just a delightful room full of friendly faces, a lot of which I recognize, but I will anyway. I am Sarah Werelberg. I am the director of the absolutely wonderful Stanford Web Services team, and I have the honor of standing up here today to talk to you about the future of Stanford Sites and WordPress here at Stanford. So the title's a little bit misleading because we're also going to talk about our plans for WordPress. And I get to present with three of my favorite people in the whole wide world. So I'm going to let them introduce themselves, starting with John.
Notice how David just threw me under the bus. Hi, my name is John Vicar. I'm senior web developer and DevOps lead with Stanford Web Services. I've been at the university for just over 12 years, and I've been with web services for over 7. So I've been through the ups and downs of our Drupal software as a service hosting platform. So happy to talk about what our plans are for the future, and I'll turn it over to David.
Hello, I'm David Tom, the manager of UX and design at Stanford Web Services, and I've been here for a while too, but I don't remember because it's a long time ago. So I'm looking forward to this too.
And our friend online, Shay McKinney. Can you introduce yourself, Shay?
Hi, I'm Shay McKinney. You may remember me from, I'm the technical architect lead with Stanford Web Services. I'm physically residing up in Canada. I'm in Squamish, BC. For those that visit, it's pretty close to Whistler. I've been with this team, very lucky to be with this team for the last, it'll be 6 years come this October. So it's been quite a wild ride. So I couldn't make it down in person this year. And this presentation is going to be really fun for me because I can't see any of you. So I'm going to just guess what's going on.
I just picture a packed room full of very attractive people, Shay.
Awesome. Of course, it is Stanford.
So we're very lucky to have Shay on the team. We're especially fortunate that he agreed to co-present at Drupal Camp today because he is the proud father of about a 3-week-old baby. So a little round of applause for our buddy Shay.
Thank you.
And he's awake for the presentation, y'all. It's awesome.
Espresso's been my friend.
Yeah. I can't tell when you're talking Canada, so you're just gonna have to bust in. I wanted to talk a little bit about what motivates us because we're a fairly small, perhaps growing team here at Stanford, and we have an awful lot of software and websites that we are responsible for. And it can be a thing that, if you let it, might keep you up a little bit at night, right, John?
What?
But we have all chosen careers in higher education. We've chosen to be in technology at a place like Stanford because it's a place where our work contributes to the greater good. And there's a lot of really inspiring stories that we come across in our day-to-day interactions with the faculty, the staff, and the students that are part of this university, or our university colleagues that we get to hang out with at events like this. What up, UC Davis? So I wanted to share some of those stories that kind of motivates us and inspire us, because as we are kicking off our project to introduce Drupal 8 to Stanford Sites, these motivators are really what keep us driving to do interesting and good work, because the people that we are supporting do amazing good work for the world. So the one I wanted to talk about a little bit, and I'll put these guys on the spot to talk about some of the other ones, is the team of one. So we have, I believe I checked the numbers yesterday, I think it's 2,300 sites right now on Stanford Sites.
It's over 2,000.
Okay, we'll go with over 2,000 websites on Stanford Sites. And it's about 24 million page views a month. A whole lot of those sites are managed by one person. And one person who it's a bullet on their job description to manage that site. It's one of many things they do. They might have 30 things they do in a day to support faculty, or to run a program for undergraduates, or to host an event at the Bing Concert Hall. And managing the website is a tiny portion of what they do. So it cannot be that they are responsible for knowing how to install Drupal, knowing how to install WordPress, updating the plugins, making sure they're secure, adding a feed so that the content shows up where they want. God forbid, be a UX designer and a visual designer. It's incredibly difficult for them to do all of that. So what motivates us is that the services we support help that team of one to do more and to go farther with their position and their job. John, how about reduce, reuse, recycle?
Sure. So one of the things that we like to do as a centrally supported unit within the university is we have a mixed funding model where we're partially core funded by the university, but we're also partially cost recovery. So we do billable work with clients across the university. We build websites, we build features, we build functionality. And we really like to build things in reusable and scalable ways so that when we build it for one client, for one website, we can reuse it for other clients. So when the School of Engineering pays for a new feature to be developed for their website, then other schools and units across the university get to be able to benefit from that. So it's a one-time investment by the university that then the entire university gets to benefit from. We also like to do things that really centralize the kind of rote and mundane aspects of managing Drupal websites, things like security updates, integration with single sign-on, integration with DNS, integration with SSL, those things that all these little teams of one don't really need to figure out how to reinvent the wheel, so that we can do that for them on their behalf. With that, I'll turn it over to Shay to talk about going farther and going together.
You didn't plan that earlier. All right, I'm going to wing this at the spot. So going farther, go together. I think this stems from one of Sarah's favorite quotes, is that if you want to go fast, go by yourself, and if you want to go far, go together. Something like that. I'm probably butchering that one. But it's true. We really strive to work together at Stanford. We have a mission to do good for Stanford as the various different units work together. We tried to collaborate and connect with different groups and to do more. So that comes into not only collaboration amongst other departments and groups, but also with the work that we do and to share. We are also heavy proponents of open source for those that are in the room as well. So we like to contribute back not only to Stanford, but to the other tools that we use. So primarily us being a Drupal shop, but we tend to do a lot in the Drupal world, so where we can. So very much community oriented.
Thanks, Shay. Yeah, I think my favorite example, or one of my favorite examples at least, of going farther together is early in my tenure at Stanford, Stanford Web Services partnered with another web team on campus to provide a solution for their websites using Drupal as an open source technology. And we were inspired to do so to try and push a proprietary CMS that had a very costly license off of campus. We had this proprietary CMS, it was supporting 6 websites, and it had a $250K support license cost for 6 websites. And by putting a fraction of that investment into building something great in Drupal, over the years we have pushed out dozens, probably topping 100 websites now. So when we go together, we can go much farther, and we are excited to talk to you about where we're going with Stanford Sites and Drupal 8 this year. So Drupal 8, finally, oh my gosh, web services, what is taking you so long? So what took so long? Drupal 8 came out in November 2015. November 2015. I mean, Trump wasn't even president yet, y'all. It was a good time. See, I promised myself I wouldn't say that, but then I did. So first thing you do, and this is a large part of the value that I bring to this university, is I put together funding requests. Yeah, I do. I can write one like nobody's business. So we requested funding to expand the team, because, you know, we're a small little team, to build the new platform. Got to build a new platform while we're maintaining the D7 platform with all those thousands of sites on it, right? So 2016, might I have some more, please? 2017, no, really, may I have some more, please? 2018, no, come on, y'all. We're hungry over here. Give us some funding. 2019, woo! This is our year, you guys. Yeah. So Stanford finally, I guess I used the right terms. Actually, I think what happened was I got a great CIO, Steve Gallagher. He sponsored our request to carry forward some funding and to say to the university, let's do something better. Let's get into Drupal 8, because guess what? Drupal 7 isn't going to be supported forever. So we kind of need to do this. And the university heard it. So we finally got the green light, literally just about last week. The spigot turned on with a small enough amount of funding that we can get started this year. So the team that we are going to be working with, Web Services is going to be doing the design and the development, but it's sponsored by the Office of Business Affairs. So thank you very much to our CFO for opening up the wallet temporarily. The Systems Governance Group, this is the funding governing body that decides how we invest in systems across Stanford. And University IT, especially our CIO, Steve Gallagher, for hearing us, helping to shape that request, and being willing to carry that request for us and defend that this is the right investment. Because this university does an awful lot of stuff. A lot of people need funding for their projects, and we were up against some stiff competition. So we're incredibly appreciative of his leadership in this space. Also, major participation by the Stanford Sites Platform Advisory Group. This is a very new body of colleagues who we convened for the first time in March of 2019. They represent schools and departments that have made major investments in the building or the usage of Stanford Sites. So groups that run 10, 20, 30, 50, 100 websites on Stanford Sites and have a real stake in seeing how it goes. So we asked them to join an advisory group, give us some advice on how we can maintain the platform in a way that works for them, how we can understand their needs as we roll out Drupal 8. And as well as our partners, University Communications, our brother-sister team that's been with us since 2011. They're part of the reason why we were created as a team in the beginning, and they are our delightful design and development partners on the Decanter product that hopefully a lot of you learned about earlier today. And if not, there's a recording and slide deck online.
Oh, did you guys mute? I can't hear you. All right, can you all hear me? I don't know. I haven't heard anything from your end in a lot. Uh-oh.
I think they'll be back.
I think they disappeared. They're playing dirty tricks on me today. Oh.
Can you hear us? That's
Are you
Shay.
back now? Hi.
Folks,
You guys are playing mean tricks on me.
we're
I'm not
back.
waiting for this. You're back?
We are back. I'm not
Awesome.
sure what happened.
We have some blips. Must be the all the tariffs at the border. They don't counting the packets.
Tariffs on bits. Okay, Shay,
Yeah.
do you want to talk about what and where?
Yeah, let's do this. So over the last few years, we have been not only asking for some more, we've been dreaming of what it is that we want to do when we get some more. So we've actually been able to practice a little bit. So we've had some other wonderful groups that we've worked with. So thanks to Humanities and Sciences, the Earth team, and a few others, so that we were able to practice and kind of look into what are some of the fun things that we can do in Drupal 8. You know, having one of the advantages of waiting, I guess, is to be able to build on the more mature software. So we got to practice, and we got to dream, we got to research, and we're going to be building a new application on top of the Drupal 8 core, which has got a lot more packed into it than it ever has, and a number of select, contrib, and costume modules. So we're going to have that sort of concept of a stack again, and we're working on that to what ones exactly we're going to use, but you may recognize, and you'll probably can guess a few of those. We're going to be building out a base theme, and then we're going to have a sub-theme option for infrastructure. I think we'll talk about that a little bit later. But there's a new ability to do some additional theming on top of our new platform that we haven't been able to do before. And we're going to be building a lot of this with that new pattern library and design system that we talked about earlier in the early sessions with Decanter. So we're going to have some tighter integration on that. So again, that's the reduce, reuse, recycle type of thing. You're going to have the same great single sign-on service with your vanity URLs and secure socket layers, so SSL tickets. It's all going to be hosted wonderful. But we're going to be really, really focused on a new and improved content authoring experience. So we heard y'all, Drupal can be non-optimal in the admin experience at times, to put it lightly. So we're going to be spending a lot of time working on the experience, both that and the media handling as well, to help your content authorship as it goes. So we're planning on also helping new SEO and web accessibility tools, as that is a big forethought on our minds, is the accessibility standards that we are adherent to. As far as your ability to create and manage, we want to make sure that you're also able to get that message out to all humans. And of course, documentation with that is important. So user guide, transparent service roadmap with release notes and things are public. So this is all coming in with research that we've done over the last several years, practicing on our Drupal 8 stuff over the last couple, and feedback from, I'm sure, many in the crowd, which I can't see, but also those that are in the advisor group and others. So next one. So where are we going to be hosted? We're going to be hosted on AccuSite CloudFactory, and that gives us a few new tools to play with, and also kind of gives us a few new rules to play with as well. So we're going to have a new sort of software as a service delivery model. So we're going to be putting out something that's first, and it's not going to be the final product. We're going to be trying to get into more of a regular release cycle. So they're going to be smaller, more incremental improvements. So you may not see your favorite module that we created in Drupal 7 off the bat, but don't worry, we'll likely get to it pretty soon. So the idea is that we're going to have regular releases, and we're going to continue to solicit feedback and continue to do research as we go, to continue to refine and deliver these things throughout the years, so we can keep up with all the goodness that Drupal's offering, other individuals at campus, and make sure that we are doing the right thing for you.
I think we all
On
have
to
to.
you. Yeah.
Wednesday.
Oh, okay. I guess I'll speak to this. I love how we flipped to it and lost the big reveal.
Oh.
So we're planning on launching the first version of the service in early 2020. We're aiming for February for the first release. I like to sort of be loose about specifically what's in the first release, because we just now are in the planning stages, and we haven't really launched the project where we will engage with our platform advisory group and our stakeholders to make sure that we're aiming for the right modules and the right features and functionality in that first release. So we are starting that project. We'll be engaging the advisory group soon and showing the project plan, and then hopefully when we reach our quick pace, then we'll be a little bit more confident about announcing exactly what's going to be an MVP and what will be out there and starting in February. Why, Shay? Why February?
Well, we're lucky to be working on mature software, but that also hasn't slowed down Drupal's core development at all. So they're coming out with their Drupal 9 release. That's happening. And that's going to be happening in Q2 of 2020. So that's sometime around November next year they're planning. So keep up to date. We've seen things creep past those dates in the past, but I would expect that will probably be pretty close to what's going on. But Drupal 8 to 9 is going to be less of a big deal than it was from 7 to 8. So those that are familiar with Drupal, major version upgrade numbers tend to be major rebuilds. So 5 to 6, 6 to 7, 7 to 8. So that's why we're going to have a lot of opportunity to do things different and do things right on this pass. But when it comes into Drupal 8 to Drupal 9, it's going to be less of a change. So we are able to keep rolling with that. But that also means it's the end of Drupal 7. Which, is very sad. We spent a lot of time in Drupal 7 over the last little while. So end of life and support for that. So we're going to be able to need to get our 2,300 websites that we are currently hosting on Stanford Sites into a new home in Drupal 8 or Drupal 9 as we get into those. So support ends for those sometime late 2021, and well, at least community support does. Acquia is suggesting that they're going to continue to commercially support it over a long time after that, but we would like everybody to get to the newest and greatest, and of course, I'm sure you will too.
So how will we be doing this? Well, as Shay and Sarah and John have mentioned, we've learned a lot over the last 7 years running this session, running the platform, not only from running customer support and hearing where our clients and users have been struggling with the platform, but also ourselves since we build sites on it. Additionally, we've been lucky enough to partner with a lot of our clients on user research that covers all of the kind of the layers of the content management system, the end user layer, the content authoring layer, the site building layer. And we also work on, the platform building layer. So that's been really helpful for us to kind of understand objectively where are there opportunities for us to improve the system to make it, to make everyone more effective. So we've already started to do some work based on this research, including the Decanter and design patterns work that we've done. The design pattern, you've heard about Decanter. The design patterns are internal patterns that we use to figure out and understand how our content creators need to be as effective as they can to get their communication goals across. So what kind of chunking of content that allows them to be content strategists, right? So we hope all of our content creators can also be content strategists. Additionally, we've done some design sprints internally about understanding what the future state of this should look like based on this research and learnings that we've done over the last few years. So we'll continue to use some of these same techniques, design thinking, to make sure that we're addressing the right problems and understanding that we have the right problem to solve. And then product design and lean to make sure that we're defining a good solution and getting iteratively to the proper solution for that problem. And then, agile software development is what we practice here at Stanford Web Services to make it great.
All right. So that's Drupal 8, but next up, we're not stopping there.
So Drupal will continue to be the preferred content management system supported by University IT, but we have heard that there is a desire for WordPress, a modern WordPress hosting environment. We understand that it sometimes can fit different use cases. So we are planning to, as part of this project that we received funding for, we are planning to create a WordPress service that is partnered with a cloud hosting provider. So we'll have a platform as a service, WordPress, cloud hosting option. There, that's the one I was looking for. It'll be a curated list of plugins for WordPress. We'll have integration with Stanford SSO, SSL, DNS, et cetera, just like we do with Drupal. And we'll have UIT support for WordPress as well. That's all baked into the project. Again, with the user the user support and the roadmap and the user guide, regular releases. And so this we're planning on launching and releasing in summer 2020.
Great, that's a whole lot of information there, and we sort of sped through an awful lot of slides. I want to make sure that we give you all a good opportunity to ask some questions. So I'm going to stop the share so we can see our friend.
Yay,
there he is.
We can see Shay.
He still can't see us, sorry.
But he space shifted.
Shay, they didn't leave, they're still here.
He space shifted from the 10 o'clock session.
Yeah, he did. He's in a completely different city now. Okay, any questions that you might have about either our Drupal 8 plans or our WordPress plans? Tori.
So if you're on Stanford Sites right now, when that first MVP comes out, is everyone going to be automatically then migrated into that person?
That would be some serious dark magic, wouldn't it? That would be awesome.
As a follow-up question, what do you recommend someone who's on Stanford Sites right now to get themselves ready for this transition?
Wow, I could not have teed that question up better. That is so good.
Can you repeat the questions for the Zoom?
Yes, good point. So our friend Tori in the room is saying, hey, if you are already on Stanford Sites and you have a Drupal 7 website, will you be auto-migrated? And I think if the answer were yes to that, Drupal wouldn't have the adoption problem that it has sometimes, right? It's the 7 to 8 is a fundamental architectural shift. So unfortunately, there is no push button upgrade. Also, we were unfortunately not granted the level of funding we would need in order to manually upgrade all 2,300, depending on the day, websites that we're currently hosting. So we're going to be providing a place for those sites to go. We'll be providing a base installation with some great tools. We're going to get that out as soon as we can, along with the user guide, because we need site owners to take responsibility for their website and to start doing the work of rebuilding in the new platform. I will say a couple of things though. So in terms of things you can do to start getting ready now, in our experience of working with clients, and while we host 2,300 sites, we also custom created several hundred websites for units all over the university of varying different sizes. And in my experience, every single time we start a new project, that unit has some work to do in looking at their content and figuring out what they actually don't need. What is the business goal that their next iteration of the website should achieve? What's the problem they're trying to solve? A lot of times we at in higher education institutions like to treat our websites like they're the library itself and just hold on to everything and, you know, save every possible version of every piece of content that we've ever created. And sometimes there really isn't a good business goal for that. And when those sites were hosted on a server that was just racked in the data center, maybe it didn't really hurt anything. But the cloud initiative, moving everything into the cloud, there's a real cost to the university to store content and store data. But one of the things that you can do now is look at your website and get that content up to date, remove content and assets that you don't need, start streamlining it on the D7 site so that when we release the D8 service and you're ready to start prototyping your new site, you're not having to then make those decisions. They'll move faster if you already know what content model you want to have in your new site and what content you will need to move over. But I also want to give my colleagues a chance to take a pass at that question. Anybody else want to?
I think that covers it for now.
Maybe I can just add one additional note, is that that upgrade path, that hard rebuild, re-architect path, is going to be a thing of the past. And that's the part of the promise of Drupal 8 to Drupal 9, is that it isn't going to be a fundamental shift anymore. They're going to be smaller improvements and they're going to move over time. So when Drupal 9 comes around, we're not going to be looking at a huge rebuild, remigration anymore. So you can have a lot more comfort in knowing that your site will be able to have those more incremental releases and be up to date as those come through. So it won't be a huge migration in a year again. So you'll be able to get there.
Just a quick anecdote. When we were working on removing data, when we were working on the graduate school business redesign, we were trying to, again, lower costs and migrating tons and tons of content from the old graduate school business news section to the new news section. And we did some data analytics using the Googles on what percentage of articles, how many articles were 99% or 97% of all traffic on news articles, and it turned out that it was about 150 out of like 1,000. Of course, we ended up doing about 500, right? But still, if you have that data to show that one piece of content has not been accessed for 3 years or only once in this year, then it's a lot easier to get people to realize and let go of content that's just not being used. There's a Stanford Web Archiving service.
Would you like for me to plug the
Yes,
Stanford
I
website?
would. Yeah.
If anybody is here from Stanford University Libraries, you have one of my favorite services of all time, and that is the web archiving services. They're like this tiny team in the library that does this super cool thing where they will crawl your website and take a snapshot of it at a point in time for the university archives, because we do love to keep stuff at the university. We just like to store it in a way that it's secure and is not some like dated old code base hanging out on AFS somewhere. And the archive service will do that for you. So go check out their website. It's very cool. And it is a way that you can convince your, maybe it's your client, maybe it's your director, your dean, your faculty member, that it's okay if we don't migrate every piece of content we've ever put on this website since 2006. Let's have the web archiving service crawl it. It's there for posterity. It won't go away. Let's build the new thing that the public actually will read and use. So that's another thing you can do.
So you've talked a lot about like the carrot of providing the Drupal 8 service and the new features and all of that. What are you going to do about the stick? How are you going to force people to, or their site gets shut down? When does that happen?
So the question, which is a delightful one, is if we are offering some juicy, delicious Drupal carrots, what is the stick to get them to do it by the deadline? in our discovery project, we have to figure out the stick. I'm honestly, I am not sure, because I think, you know, part of being part of the community is understanding that this university is amazingly busy, new innovations every day, that the time and the rightfully should be prioritized with the research, teaching, and learning mission and healthcare. God, I always forget that one. And not into rebuilding a website that maybe you as a site owner thinks is working perfectly fine. But it is still our job to maintain websites in a secure and manageable way. And when we use open source, we benefit from not having a big costly license every year, but the price of that is it has dependencies. And there's dependencies that are moving on. And we have to modernize the code base. So to keep it secure, to keep it meeting the MinSec policies and representing the quality of the Stanford brand as well as we can and should, then we're going to have to modernize, which may mean that we put the time into rebuilding websites, and we kind of wish we didn't have to spend that time, but maybe we can take this as an opportunity to compromise and not try and build the customized perfect site that looks exactly like you would want, but you kind of just like get it done and then be willing to iterate and improve it over time as the platform also iterates and evolves and improves. Maybe that sort of breaking the work down into done is beautiful, getting it done faster, and then adding to it is a way that we can kind of stretch that work out over time. I feel like I wandered on that answer, but it's the end of the day and it's happy hour, y'all. What else? Any other? These are great questions, so keep it coming.
Yes, my question. My understanding is that one of the primary goals for WordPress on cloud platforms was AFS is being end of life. And when we did some research a couple years ago, there were almost 1,000 websites, WordPress websites, many of which were old and dusty and archaic. But is there, it's maybe too early to tell, is there a migration plan? Or is migrating sites out of AFS part of your mission there?
In fact, migrating the sites ourselves is not in scope. We actually, it was sort of a fun, quote unquote, exercise to estimate out approximately what it would cost to have the 49ers sized team that we would need in order to move over 1,000 WordPress websites so that the site owner didn't have to do it. And as you can imagine, the cost was not something that the university was going to approve. So the scope of the WordPress service is to select a vendor that can provide the platform as a service and do WordPress application support. Our part of the project is twofold. One is that we're going to be working to assess the state of the WordPress websites on AFS and look for which ones are not in active use and actually take them off of the system. So those are the ones that are represent a risk to the university to still have live but not be in active use. I'm sure that is going to cut down on that old and dusty number that you were just talking about. So there's going to be outreach to those site owners if we can identify that they're still at the university, shutting down in sites, narrowing that window. But then primarily selecting the platform as a service, establishing the contract, putting the Stanford assets there like single sign-on, the theme, selected plugins, to give those site owners a place to go at whatever point the sunsetting of web on AFS is announced. It hasn't actually been announced. There isn't a date, but there's gonna be a date one day. And so we want to make sure that there's a cloud-based home that has a WordPress installation that's easy for people to install on a place where they can consider moving their site if they choose to. But there's other places where they could choose to host WordPress if they still want to continue using that platform, and that'll be okay too.
I think I'll add on here because I think that the WordPress and the AFS, and Robert, your question about what the stick is to force people to move off of 777, the university's risk tolerance is way lower than it has been at any time that I've been here. And as Sarah already said, there's a cost associated with hosting these things. All these Drupal 7 websites that we have on Acquia, on a cloud hosting vendor, it costs the university green money. So there will be a date when we shut those services down, both for cost and for security reasons. We don't know that date yet, but those will be the stick. And what we're going to do as part of this, the first part of this project is to provide a place that's new, that's modern, that people want to use so that they can look at it and say, hey, I don't want to host my website on AFS. I want to host it on this WordPress platform or on the new Drupal 8. And I think what the sunsetting will look like is it'll be phased. I'm sure that a number of you already in here have received the emails saying, hey, this AFS group is being shut down. It's going to be shut down after whatever, March 31st. And so it'll be a phased approach like that, where we'll go through and look at the least used assets and start to shut those down. And then we'll winnow it down to a more manageable number rather than just saying, hey, we're going to turn off AFS on December 30th, 2021.
Which is the path some universities have taken, but not this one. Yes.
Could you consider a charge alternatives? Some of these things are free, they're not going to bring the people from the university.
Right.
But pushing some of that cost on to business units. I'm thinking sometimes the fact that there's a deadline. So people who are making the decisions, as soon as charges.
Mm-hmm. So for the people online who probably can't hear Rob's point, but he correctly is pointing out that free, it's sort of free as in puppy, not free as in beer, right? And it sort of feels like free as in beer because they don't feel that there's a cost to maintaining their site on these services, since no cost of that has been passed on, but in fact there is a cost. And so Rob was asking, would we consider a chargeback model where these future modernized services have an incremental cost associated with them, so that the site owners have some skin in the game, right? A little bit of pressure to take action on things. I think it's a really interesting idea and concept. I've not seen a lot of appetite for saying to faculty members, here's how much your website's going to cost each month. But it's something we talk about, but not yet. Yeah.
And just to clarify, I was talking about the things that are coming to end of life.
Oh, the things that are coming to end of life. Oh, start paying for keeping the, yeah.
Right, they're going to just ramp up until they pay for it.
It's right, yeah.
So that we don't get a situation where you've got everybody trying to beat that deadline.
Mm-hmm.
3 months.
Yeah, have people paid for the honor of staying on the super slow AFS service. I haven't heard the idea, but it's definitely an intriguing one. Yeah.
Irina's had her hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry, Irina, go ahead.
I think most of websites on AFS are one of that team of one that you started with the presentation. This is, why people are going to AFS, because there's team of one, and this is something that they can get for free, and it's like one of 30 bullets in their job description. So both Drupal and WordPress provide lots of pretty good tools for migrating sites from WordPress to Drupal, from Drupal to WordPress, from one platform to another. But people who are one-person team don't know about this tool. They don't know how to optimize their work in that regard. Do you know if there's any plan, like for tech training, web services, to provide a series of workshops that people can prepare in advance?
So the question from Irina is, would SWS or University IT provide any training or workshops to help people use them, migrate services or modules into either Drupal or WordPress, right? I should turn this question over to
Shay.
Look at that. You should see how fast he stepped back.
You playing some mean tricks on me today. You're lucky I'm not down there. Maybe this will be the stick. We can have lunch with John Becar. So as far as migration goes, I think there might be an opportunity there, definitely, to have a strategy sessions, or even talk about things like we talk about, like recipes. Maybe not necessarily a one-to-one fit for everybody as far as how to move from A to B, but as we go, there's definitely going to be a lot of support that's going to be needed and training on the new systems and platforms. So we plan on have documentation and stuff like that. But yeah, there's opportunities there. I'm not entirely sure if we have any individualized training or like specific support for doing specific sites to the platform. But as far as training on how to use the new platform, I imagine that we'll have something available.
I like the idea of a strategy session to think about and talk to others about the process of migrating and what content is migratable and is useful to be migrated. I was talking to somebody from UC San Francisco. Anyway, there was a session earlier today about it, and I regret that I missed it, but I definitely want to go back and look and see the video online because it sounds like a really interesting technical challenge that they achieved.
I think I should also say that that's an area where we will want to lean on our advisory group. And I don't know the size of that. I can make a guess of the size of the value of that, of having migration tools as part of this service. But I don't know without asking a number of other people who are much closer in touch with the site owners and the content owners than we are. And I think that's certainly an area where we want to get feedback. And if that's something that provides value to this project, then it's something that we want to build into the project plan. Aaron.
Something Shake put on his future hack. Do you think once people are in 8 and transitions to 9, 10, 11, and 12 will be much more transparent? Because I know in Windows users don't think about what version they're in. Developers know the version. But as a user, I don't know. Do you think it's going to be like that, Shay, in Drupal?
I heard that one clear, so thank you for projecting very well, Aaron.
You're welcome.
That was Aaron, by the way.
Yeah, no, I got that one. And the pain of the major rebuilds is going away. The release model for Drupal after the Drupal 8 rebuild has changed completely. So when Drupal 9 is released, that's actually the same thing as Drupal 8.9, but with the removal of the deprecated code. So they're not doing these major architectural changes on a major version number. So what they're doing is they're slowly incrementing. So each of the minor version numbers, so if you go like 6, 8, 7, 8, 8, those will actually have more change in them than the last minor version of Drupal 8 then into 9. So our goal is to keep up with all of the deprecations that are happening in the Drupal code base, stay on top of that so that when Drupal 9 happens, we just kind of get it. That's the idea. Is it's supposed to be zero transition if you're on top of your deprecated code. So that includes all the contrib modules and everything we write. So there's a little bit of keeping on top of that, but otherwise, no, you shouldn't have that same experience of Drupal 9 came down. I have to think about all my sites and how I'm going to rebuild and is all my features going to be there. That lifestyle is gone. So we're going to be moving into newer ones. So on the platform itself, you won't even notice that you've gone to 9. We'll have to tell you. That's the idea. It's supposed to be that kind of seamless.
Yeah, and I'm really hoping and planning that it'll be much more like the PHP upgrade process is, where we need to make changes on the code base, on the part that we run, but that site owners won't need to. So, you don't need to care whether we're running PHP 7.1 or 7.2 or 7.3 when it comes out. It's just something that Web Services does with the platform that we run in conjunction with the hosting provider.
You actually set me up pretty good for the comment that I wanted to add, and that's I neglected to mention earlier. So the platform that we run, Stanford Sites, is on Acquia Cloud Site Factory, which is the particular service Acquia provides for running lots and lots of sites on a shared code base at scale. But we also have an agreement with Acquia that gives us access to Cloud Enterprise or Cloud Professional environments for custom code bases. So if what we're pushing out to Drupal 8 and Stanford Sites is not quite right for your particular project, but you want to get started on a D8 custom build now, there's nothing stopping you or holding you back from that. And if there are any assets that we've created, themes, modules, whatever that you might want to use as a starting point for your custom project, absolutely please reach out, because we want you to be using Drupal 8 as soon as you can if you wish to. All right, you guys, it is 4:46. I'm sorry, was there one more question? Sean?
This might be way too long. You can say all share that with years later.
Okay.
I'm interested in your advisory group, sort of how it's organized and kind of the reporting or governance structure around that.
Sure, yeah, I can definitely talk to you about the advisory group structure over beers, which is the perfect segue to the fact that we are 1 minute late for happy hour, you guys. So thanks to Pantheon for sponsoring happy hour, which is right outside. Sorry for name dropping Acquia 5 times during this presentation. And thanks everybody very much for coming to our end of day session. I really appreciate you sticking around for this part. And I hope you join us again tomorrow.
And thanks,
Stanford
Zoomies.
Webcam. Thanks, Zoomies. Bye, Canada.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great happy hour. Give John a couple of ribs for me.